Hi, Paul Stubbs here and welcome to the channel. I'm going to start off this video in a rather unusual way. These are leftover building products from which the house is constructed. It's using ICF, insulated concrete forms. The big white slabs are what the roofs are made of. They're all clipped together, and when you put them together they form beams which you put a steel cage in and then fill it all full of concrete, and the mat on the top, and the concrete fills in and just creates a super strong roofing structure. Now the grey one is the blocks that create the walls. It's made from Neopor, and our Neopor is basically polystyrene that is impregnated with carbon. And the idea is that the millions of little pieces of carbon within the polystyrene deflects the heat on the way through. So this makes it sort of 30% more efficient than just polystyrene. Now again, that area, the void in between the two outsides, is filled with steel. You have horizontal and vertical steel, and then it's filled full of concrete. So you can just imagine that it is super strong. It's much stronger than your standard method of construction, your concrete pillars and decks, because there's no single point of failure. The whole of the house, and let's just pan up to the house, as I mentioned the house, is built with giant, great big reinforced beams. Now this terrace is one level just below the house and belongs. There is a shipping container and a 40-foot shed at the back, but they're just sheds and storage areas. I put this little path in some time. It all needs weeding, but my wife won't let me weed anything until the bees and other insects have had their fill of what's flowering at the moment. And I can't say I disagree entirely, so there we go. Now here's one of the first of the stone walls. It's in good nick. It's a couple of places where it needs some attention, like here, although that only happened with me driving the excavator up and down that area, and that's why that fell into a little bit of disrepair. So we come along. This is one of the garden walls leading to a lovely terrace. I really do like this terrace. It's absolutely gorgeous, and the stone walls, again, mostly in really good condition. I'm going to pan around again and show you the house and where it all is. Now we'll get to the views from the house later on, but as you can see, the views are great from pretty much everywhere. Now I'm just going to show you the drive. We had the driveway put in, and because the original entrance was up the top there behind the RV and the cars, and it was very tight, especially getting the RV in, and now it's not a problem at all. It's accessed via a track, which is accessible in all weathers. There's never a time we've not been able to get here in a standard car. And I'll go up this way because there are some pretty cool features all the way up. Now this is temporary. It fills up from the borehole, feeds irrigation, it feeds the house at the moment, although we are waiting for the company water. It will have company water just to the house, and then that will just be used for irrigation in the future. Or you know, you could keep it like that, but it does require filtering. And because we are standing on ancient seabed, all made of limestone, it does the water underneath does get limey, but there's unlimited amounts of water here, which gives you the options of all sorts of agriculture. We have had vegetable beds in here, and there is a tube, well, a large pipe underneath the track that goes to the far terrace, so you can feed water through to there. We never use that, but you can if you want to grow more vegetables or fruit trees, whatever it is you want to establish. I've had some ideas about bamboo, because you can plant a lot of bamboo here because of the unlimited amounts of water, and bamboo is a very profitable crop when done correctly. So that oak thicket at the back there, that also belongs to the property, and you can see the terraces, and the far wall there is the last terrace of the land, and you see all the land here. All of these oak trees here come with the property, and we shall go and take a walk through a really charming terrace or two. Now there's well, not a clamber, but more of a stumble, and I shall pan around and show you what we're made up of. There's lots of bedrock, and in places I have cleared it back, and I'll show you some of those later, which make really nice relaxation areas. You could make, and of course you could utilize the stone and build tables and chairs and tables and benches and all sorts of things to make it better. Now here is a very old, I believe it to be very old, threshing circle. You can just make out. There's another bigger threshing circle in much better condition, and we shall get to that in due course. So through we go. I have to find the right way. Here we are. And obviously the pathways could do with a little bit of tidying up, but you know, I'm walking along holding this camera, and it's not too arduous, apart from the fact that I've just eaten a rather large brunch, which isn't helping. So this is one of my favourite areas, and of course when it's trimmed or mowed, it would look even better. But the self-seeding cork oaks, they've actually come up since we've been here, and there is some terrace walls and natural scree to show you there. But all these cork oaks really do set it off beautifully. It's a really nice area, and you could set up domes or yurts or other tents and make this a really lovely area to come and hang out or rent out. Any of these oak thickets could do this. So you could do it anywhere on the land, but of course, you know, you get some shade in the morning from these trees, so it does make it rather ideal. So let's force our way up here. Now I don't know how much any of you know about geology and what have you, but as I already alluded to, this was under seabed hundreds of millions of years ago, and there are tons of fossils, and which is the reason we know that it was, I'm going to go this way, under the seabed, because they're all sea fossils, lots of seashells, seaweed and other creatures that once dwelled beneath the ocean. So yeah, even though we're hundreds of meters above sea level, this was once under the sea. Such is the nature of our changing planet. So I'm going to, again, spin round. You get a glimpse of the house through there. This track that we're on now is public, and although you do get the odd walker, and on a Sunday, although I've not seen any today, you do get some mountain bikers, the odd quad biker, things like that going up it. Other than that, dog walkers. We don't get many people, but they do sometimes come up here. Very few vehicles, it's mostly ours, that come up here. And as I said, the old quad bike. But yeah, I mean, it is cool. So there we go, there's another view of the house. You pick out the RV and all of that onwards. We will get to the only pine tree for absolutely miles around is actually here, and it's on the boundary. I'm just going to show you these orchids here because they just are really pretty. And there's lots of them. This place at this time of year is absolutely covered in a variety of wild orchids, and it does make it rather cool. Lots of other wildflowers too, but the orchids are of interest to a number of people. Now you'll see perhaps a roof just there, and we'll get to that in a while, because it is a stone-built roof with a threshing circle, and it has a proper registered urban footprint, which does open up possibilities of what you might be able to do there. But it's all subject to planning, and I pretty much guaranteed that it would have to be related to tourism. You couldn't just build another house there for normal habitation. It would have to have some kind of tourism project attached to it, and then the chances are very high indeed. So here we are. These are rough terraces, and there's some terraces below which I'll show you in a little while, which are in much better condition. I think these were roughly done at the time. It's been mainly used for olive trees over the years, although I imagine in antiquity it would have been used for vegetables and grain and what have you, hence the threshing circles and the fact that there were once windmills up here. We've seen the bases for them, so we know that there was at least 3 windmills on top of the land here that were used for grain. But here we are. This absolutely gorgeous. I love walking up here. It's actually my second time today walking up the hill, and you'll see why when we get to the top, because it just is lovely. And although it's, I mean, it is a clamber, there's no getting away from it, and I'm slightly out of breath. I'm holding a camera, so I'm not, and you don't need to use your hands to get up here at all. Just pick the right route, and it's fairly simple. Never managed to fall over or anything like that, so it's not difficult to do, and could be improved hugely. I mean, I do wish now, see the evidence of the wild boar that come here, turning up the ground, looking for roots and what have you. So, they know a good thing when they sniff it. So, I mean, stuff will grow here. And I was visited when we were building the house by a wine grower from the Alentejo, who happens to be a relative of someone who lives in the village. And he told me, contrary to what, I don't know if you saw that. It's a rabbit running away. He told me that although it would be a low yield from growing vines on this ground, but obviously you would have to do some rock shifting, or just plant them where you can get them. It just become harder to manage. But if you do that, just plant them in the soil next to where all the rocks are, and just let them do their thing, then that's how you get the best quality wine. If they struggle, if it's hard for them, you get really good quality. So I haven't done it because I have to sell it. I have to sell the house. But he assured me, and my neighbour in the village told me that he is one of the biggest and better wine producers in the Alentejo. So who am I to argue with that? And judging by his 4x4 Porsche, which I was very jealous of, he does all right at it. So yeah, onwards and upwards. We're getting near now to the top of the land, and when we get there, you'll see why I like coming up here. Well, the pigs have been busy. I went up the other way this morning, the way we were going down a little, so I missed this. The pigs have been very busy in the last few weeks. That's for certain. Been rooting up everything. So mind you, I suppose when all the flowers and everything start to come up, that's when they like to get busy. We've had a lot of rain this spring. There's one of the boundary markers there, that pile of stones. So we're at the end of the land, and if I just cross this wall here, then we will be on the highest part of the land, and there's very little higher than you'd like to see, because the views are without doubt spectacular. They just are. So let me, I'll use one of the piggies' little mounds here, so I can turn around nice and slowly and show you just how good those views really are, because they are rather special. They really are. Look at that. Absolutely fabulous. I just love it up here. When Sarah and I first came up here, we thought, wow, what would we like to get married up here, or have some kind of event, or a big yoga platform? And that kind of spurred us on towards some kind of retreat centre. But for us, it never came to fruition. Hopefully somebody else might fall in love with it in a similar way. And of course it would require probably some kind of pathway building up, hopefully out of timber. And well, you could do it out of all these stones, of course, but would be more labour intensive. One of the other ideas I did have, which is kind of linked to tourism, would be to start a dry stone wall school. There are still local experts in dry stone walling. I'm just going to a brief stop for these flowers here because they're just gorgeous, and because it's perfect. It's exactly as it would have been done in antiquity, in the olden days. You know, that had collected all these rocks from the ground, which would make it much easier to clean, and then you get them all to the side and you build a wall out of it. I mean, that's what they did. That's how they cleared land, and that's what they did with the rocks. You know, very often dry stone walls weren't needed in their own right, but unless you're building terraces or dividing somebody's land. But they were a handy way of storing rocks. You know, just getting rid of them. I mean, you could technically have them moved now, but why? Do something wonderful with them. You know, and it's been a thing for thousands of years. People are still interested, and people would still like to learn it. People would still like to teach it. So, you know, why not combine those things have this place restored fully while teaching people a wonderful skill. I just think it's a great idea, but it's mine, and I always think my ideas are great ideas. So no surprises there. There's some wonderful terraces which I really do want to show you once we get back down to the track. I mean, they are really cool. And then we'll go and have a look at the threshing circle and the grain store or tool store. I don't know exactly what they used to keep in those things, but we'll have a look at that because that's another real point of interest. But the terraces everywhere. There's another terrace here. Look, you know, there's a terrace behind. You know, there's plenty of places to grow things here. There is, and of course, back in the day, that's what people lived on. And while you wouldn't want to work that hard just to eat anymore, and there's just no need for it, this, for millennia, was how people survived, building terraces and growing food on them. Terraces serve a lot of different purposes. They do prevent erosion of the land, as well as provide deeper soils for your crops to grow in. You know, it is all worth it. Now we're back down to the track, so we'll continue along the track for a little while, and I'll show you these wonderful terraces. And I think it's worth mentioning that I have got no idea at all how old these terraces are. My mate and I, we took quite a few terraces apart. Not these, but some more down by the threshing circle, and I'll show you those in a minute. Here you get a glimpse of the top of the terraces. But I'll go down a little bit and show you in more detail. Now there's the view of the house again. And just trying to, it's a little bit overgrown. Not that easy to navigate at the minute. But so here we go. Look at these. I mean, they are just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm going to go down, which is a little bit tricky, a little bit more stumbly. It's easier to come from the bottom up, but here we are, successfully navigated. But they are well worth looking at. Well, I think so. I mean, I love this kind of thing. They're just incredible. They're really wide, and as I said, no idea how old they are, but they are certainly old, and still in quite incredibly good condition. I mean, they just really are in good condition. Look at that. And there's a lot of them, and you could grow an enormous amount. There's self-seeding olive trees in them at the moment, but at one point these will be full of vegetables and or grains. We know grains because of the threshing circle. No point in having threshing circles if you didn't grow grain, because that is the entire point of them, separating the grains from the grasses. And yeah, it's just wonderful. I really wish I knew just how old they were, but I've spoken to some of the locals and they haven't got a clue. They, you know, some of them are in the 90s and they were old when you know, when they were lads and lasses. So yeah, you know, they could be hundreds of years or more. I mean, it's just impossible to tell beyond that. But as I said, I took apart quite a few. Here's another little oak thicket. You could get something nice in there, and that's got shade, you know, all the day round. You know, flatten it out a little bit maybe, but get a lovely dome in here or a yurt. And people happily, really happily, pay to come and stay in that. There's another little area there. You know, they'd all be very private. Would be a really cool. I mean, I would. I'd love to come and stay in somewhere like this. You know, and you know, it's just a lovely, lovely place to be. It just is. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous house. Stone walls up to the terraces and around. More stone walls. Just great. We'll head up to that little hut in the threshing circle right now, so which is worth doing. But you know, we've got quotes for the house. Finished the house. 20,000 for the rendering. 7,000 for railings to go around the first floor, and 4,000 for landscaping, and about 20 to 25 for a swimming pool, if you want a swimming pool. Now, if you want to rent this out at any point, I mean, you're going to get north of 2,000 a week in the season as a return, and a good return otherwise. It could be up to 7 bedrooms. I mean, currently it only has 5, but we would easily become 7. It can sleep at least 14 people without any problem. It's got 4 bathrooms, and so you know it will service out. The kitchen's fabulous. So it's got all of the raw ingredients for a holiday let that people would pay top dollar to come and stay in. They really would. I'm going to take you in here. Apart from my friend camping in here once, after we got a little bit squiffy in front of the fire in the threshing circle there. Then if the kids have mainly used it, they made a den up here, brought some of their effects up. But it has got an urban footprint, as I said, and it does give you certain rights to construct here. I mean, obviously you can just convert that into a little chalet right now. A very minimal cost and just live in that, you know, or rent that out. And that wouldn't cost very much at all. Electricity you'd have to bring from the house probably, and water, of course, from the borehole. Or once you've got town water from the house, pipe that over as well. So, I mean, that's not hugely costly. There is electricity in the lower track, down to where you'll see a van just down there. That's where we lived while the house was being built, not in the van, but in our RV and a wooden structure that I built. I would go down there, but it's still full of junk, much to my shame. So anyway, onwards. This is obviously the pathway up to the threshing circle. And I do wish when I had the excavator on site that I'd flatten this a little bit better than I did do. But there we go. I mean, got to come back to do certain work, and so it shall be done then, I'm sure. So here's one of my, we're back to one of my favourite terraces where the water tanks are. Really like that. It's absolutely lovely. So I'm going to cut to what the house should look like when it's finished and done, and I'm going to insert that video. And at the end of that, I'm going to meet you on the balcony, and we shall have a look at the views you get from the balcony. So I shall see you in a minute. So here we are, onto this rather ridiculously large outside terraced area. It's like 100 square meters, just this. And of course, I have railings. You can see that there's cables being put in to put lighting. I kind of envisaged old-fashioned street lighting, going then railings and then hanging plants over the railings and creating like the hanging gardens of Babylon type of look. That was my dream. That was my vision. And the next person's going to have to come up with their own. But such is life. Now, it's a concrete polishing machine, and I mean, all of the floors inside are polished concrete, all of them. I mean, there is nowhere in the house that does not have polished concrete. And I'm unsure whether to polish the concrete out here or paint it. I mean, the great thing about using the polystyrene is it's waterproof from the get-go. You know, it's completely waterproof, apart from in one place where they drilled through for the crane on the top, and that's here, and you can see on the floor there where it is. But the whole point of being up here is to see those views. So let's have another look, because they are worth another look. They're just absolutely spectacular. I love them. It's what I fell in love with. It's why I bought the plot. It's why I built a house here. And, well, I hope you love them as much as I do. And I hope you like the simulation. I'm not going to go through the house because it's full of kids. And my wife is really busy doing the accounts, or she's supposed to be. I'm going to go and spy on her, make sure she's still at it. Okay, thanks once again, and hope to see you soon.